Good evening to everyone,
Good
and
evening.
welcome to our Taking Care of Business show. So far, we know that they would see the signal that we've just started, and they will be joining us in a moment. We know that many persons are quite eager to listen and hear what's taking place tonight. And this evening, we're looking at a guide to succeed in accessing the new MSME fund at the Aid Bank. I see we have persons starting to come on, so very soon we'll have more and more persons joining so that they will be able to benefit from this conversation. Thank you, Aid Bank team, for being present and for joining us at this evening's Taking Care of Business show session. So we see that persons are joining us. We're just giving a short moment to ensure that a few more persons would be able to come on, that they could benefit from the start of this program. If you're just joining us, this is the Taking Care of Business show, and we're looking at a guide to succeed in accessing the MSME finance, the new MSME fund at the Aid Bank. This evening, our objective is to really understand what the basic requirements are for this new MSME fund, and to ensure that we share adequate information so that our MSMEs would benefit from this fund at the Aid Bank. Today's program is also brought to you by Finance Focus, and we'll learn a bit more about Finance Focus as we go through the program. I'm really delighted to introduce the Aid Bank team who are here with us this evening. We have three lovely ladies who work at the Aid Bank, and we are going to also give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. We have Mrs. Faustin, Mrs. Teet, and Mrs. Chambers. So we hand over to the Aid Bank team to tell us more about yourself, tell us your role, and introduce yourself to the listeners this evening.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, Miss Fabien. And once again, thank you for inviting us. My name is Josephine, and I serve as the Marketing and Communications Officer for the Aid Bank. To my immediate right is Mrs. Faustin, Mrs. Nicole Faustin, and to my further right is Mrs. Fisher Shillingford Chambers, and they will introduce themselves to you.
Good evening, Ms. Fabien, and good evening, listeners. Thanks for having us. My name is Nicole Faustin. I am currently the head of credit at TIM. I am happy to be here today to share this new facility that we have at the Aid Bank.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Patricia Shillingford Chambers, and I currently serve as Manager Credit Active.
Great. Well, I'm truly delighted that the three of you are here with us this evening to discuss this very important topic. We see that we have more listeners tuning in. We're starting to get even comments, persons saying greetings. So for the Dominican beekeeper, thank you so much for putting the first comment in the chat. And we do welcome you and thank you all for being here at our program, Taking Care of Business program. Now, if you're just joining us again, we want to share that please feel free to share questions in the chat. Feel free to engage with us as we go in this process, because it's all about our businesses and our MSMEs accessing the financing at Aid Bank. Great. So we're going to delve right into it. We want to find out, first of all, about what is being offered. If you can tell us the details, the requirements for MSMEs in accessing this financing, we'd be truly delighted.
Okay, so at the Aid Bank, we have a number of facilities available for the MSME sector, and definitely we will start with the special facility that we recently received from the government of Dominica for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Can you share the screen with us, Ms. Fabien?
Sure.
Okay, so as I said, we have that new facility, and we also have existing facilities such as the BFund, the Startup Stars, and others. But tonight, there has been a lot of interest. Since there's been a lot of interest in the MSME facility, this is something that we are definitely going to focus on.
That's great. That's great.
Can we move along, please? Okay. So the scope of the facility really is targeted to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. And it was really established to support financial sustainability and economic recovery within the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has been a part of our lives for the last 2 years or so. Next slide, please.
Okay. So currently, the sectors that are eligible are the agriculture sector, that includes livestock, fishing, crop production, to name a few, in industry, manufacturing, services, transportation, and tourism, hotels, and ancillary services related to tourism. So currently, these are the sectors that can qualify for funding under this facility. And if we go in terms of the terms of the loan, and Ms. Fabien, I'm not sure if you have any questions, you can always stop also, or if you have any questions that you need to ask at this point.
Okay, sure. So if any questions come up, we invite all our listeners and our viewers to please share your question in the chat, and we'll ensure to share it with the team as we continue to go along.
Okay. So in terms of the terms and conditions, and the loan, the sizes ranges from 8,100 to 672,000. The interest rate is very attractive at 3.5%. And the maximum term, it goes up to 120 months or 10 years. And it exclusive of a grace period of 6 months, up to 6 months on interest and principal.
Next slide, please. In terms of loan eligibility, persons must be citizens of the Commonwealth of Dominica. The loan also caters to permanent residents who have been living in Dominica for the past 10 years or more. The business should have an annual turnover of less than 2 million and 2 million less than $2 million. The clients must be registered with the Inland Revenue Division and the Dominica Social Security.
Okay, we are looking at the general loan conditions, and the facility does not cover the refinancing of existing debt. So the financing of existing debt is not permitted under this facility. Existing financial obligations should be in good standing. And assuming they are not, we will need to obtain a letter from this financial institution, which would indicate that something is being done. They're either working on a rescheduling or to have this arrears regularized. So if they are able to provide us with such letter, then we are able to work on the facility. The loan should be 70% or less of the total project cost. So assuming the project cost is $100,000, the loan should be $70,000 or less. And in order to obtain this loan, we would need updated business or operation plan or evidence of operation of an MSME. So we need updated business or operation plans or evidence of operation of a micro, small, or medium-sized enterprise.
Okay, so just as we go through this, I have a few questions based on this slide. The first one says no refinancing of existing debt. Could you share with us why this is not permitted?
Well, this is one of the conditions. The loan really caters for new, the facility caters for new loans. And we want to ensure that persons, as many persons as possible, can actually benefit from this facility. So that is one of the major reasons why we do not, well, it does not make provision for refinancing of existing debt. And that is existing internally or externally. So even persons who would have loans at the aid bank, existing loans, we are able to use this facility or funds under this facility to pay off these such debts.
Okay, sure. In terms of the one that mentions loan should be 70% or less of the total project cost, do you cater for in-kind contribution to that total cost? Like if someone is doing a project, they can value what their contribution to the project is at, and could that be considered as part of the cost of the 100%?
You're exactly correct in terms of the project. So existing loan, existing business could include their investment in the business that already is in existence. So for example, if a small farmer has crops on the ground, he has equipment that he already uses or owns, it can be included as part of his equity. So it forms part of his equity towards the project.
Okay, sure. And in-kind contributions such as like management costs and other costs that the business himself would bear by managing the project?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. Well, that's a good point to note for MSMEs in terms of being able to quantify what your contribution to the project would be. So that would be catered into the entire cost. So the financing that you're getting could actually really meet the cash obligations of the business. I'm correct in saying that, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Okay, great. There's a question that Brenton asked: what qualifies as evidence of operation of an MSME? What qualifies as evidence of operation of an MSME?
This is something that we have presented in one of our slides, so we will come to that shortly.
Okay, great. Thanks for asking that question, Brenton. So you say we'll come to that shortly, and that's one of the other questions that I would have had. So I guess we'll go right along to the next slide. So is that okay with you?
Yes, you can go on.
Okay, great.
Okay, so the loan requirements include business information. It means that we can expound on that a bit. In terms of business information, that is where we require the business registration. That's the operational plan of the business. That is general information related to the business itself. As to the registration, the social security registration, if any, the registration of inland revenue. So this is what is covered under the business information section of the loan requirements. In terms of know your information, the KYC, know your customer information, we require basic things, for example, like the person's photo ID, their address. Okay, basically that's what it is. Items for financing.
Okay, so items for financing, we are looking at pro forma invoices, assignment of insurance on equipment, bills of sale, bills of quantity, or cost estimate. So a similar person is going to construct a building. We will need to get cost estimates from that person. So this is what we refer to as one of the items for financing.
So just to confirm, is that all purchases, everything that money would be spent on must be identified when the documents are submitted?
This is it. Then we have financial information, which deals with the current account or business account statements. We need financial statements, because assuming it's an existing business, we would need to know how the business has been operating. We need financial records, and these should be prepared by an accountant. We need employment letters in the case where persons are employed. We need salary slips, as 2 recent salary slips. Copy of contracts in the event the person has a contract with either the government of Dominica or some other firm. And we also give the individuals credit reports, and that is to check their financial standing with other financial institutions.
Okay, so first, could I ask a question on this one?
Yes.
I haven't seen other questions on this specifically, but is it optional that someone must provide everything that you mentioned, or can they provide at least one? Because what if it's a new business and they don't have contractors yet? What provision do you make for if a business does not have all the requirements that you've outlined for the financial items?
Well, that is dependent on the nature of the business. So a person who is starting off will not have financial statements. So that would be omitted. But an existing business, we would expect that the person would have financials. So it depends on the business, how long it has been in existence. And that will determine the documents that will be required.
Okay, great. We do have a question that someone asked here. So if you're self-employed, what requirements would you have? What documents would you require for that individual?
So somebody that is self-employed, I would imagine that they are submitting the application for that business, right? I would think so. So it would be the records related to that business that they are applying for. So if a baker were to apply, and that is his form of business, he would have to give you the records that he normally maintains for the business. It could be a savings account statement, it could be a draft financial statement or so forth. So employment information will be required for somebody that is self-employed.
Okay, sure. So in terms of the application, would this be specifically outlined so that in case someone know that they're self-employed, would they be able to see that information like itemized as part of the application documents?
That's correct. Definitely. We have checklists, and the information is given to the client at that point, either during the interview or if an inquiry they will be required that's related to their specific business.
So in essence, the checklist is actually customized based on the person's need.
Okay. Okay, sure. Before I go to the next question that I saw there, though, because it related to something you have above, how long does it take to get that checklist? If somebody wants that information, what process do they go through, and how long it takes to get that?
This is something, again, we will address in our slide. So
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I do want to share this question before we move to the next one, because it relates to what you mentioned about before about farmers. So Jillian says that she knows that farmers would want to access the fund. Does a farmer have to have a registered business? Also, would a vehicle for the farm use quality as a project or qualify as a project? Would the farmer be able to get a loan under this facility to purchase a vehicle?
In terms of the farmer, this is a unique group. I think I'll answer the last question first. So a vehicle would form part, if it is used in the operation of the business, it is used for transportation, it is used to assist with the production of the farm. Yes, this would qualify as equity or a contribution towards the project. So we would take that into consideration. As I said, if there are any other equipment that will be used on the farm, if the land that is used is the farmer's land, that also forms part of the project. If there's a farm building on the farm, that can also form part of the equity into the project. So it is a wide range of items. It's not only restricted to based on it's unique to every customer, and this is also it is also done by our agriculture specialists. And at that point, they will also look at the farm and see what is on the farm and give us also recommendations if the client has maybe they've on the interview they may not have recorded all the contributions. So at that point, you will get a better idea after the visit. In terms of the registration of the business, for farmers, normally farmers have to be registered, have producer license, right? So this would form part of the requirements, and also will require a recommendation from the agricultural extension officer. So this would also qualify the farmer for financing in that regard.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. And
the next item has to do with recommendations and approval for discussion. Yes. So we just to reiterate that facilitators for agriculture, industry, and tourism. And we just spoke about the agricultural situation, and that the farmer would need documentation from the agricultural extension officer. In terms of tourism and industry, depending on the business again, they would need support from the environmental health department, also the Bureau of Standards and the physical planning division. So I just wanted to mention that on the recommendations and approval.
And again, this is where necessary. So this information doesn't go across the board. It is unique to each application. So an borrower coming into to build a bakery would require environmental health approval in addition to physical health, physical planning approval. However, somebody coming into for working capital financing would not require this information. So as I said, the information that we are outlining, it depends on the application, it depends on the request. So that there is no one size fits all. So it's the better thing to do if you have an application, it is to speak to us to clarify what it is that you need. Because all the items that we are listing here may not be necessarily what you need as based on the financing that you are requesting.
And the same applies for the security requirements. Again, it depends on what the loan request is, but in general, security requirements would include a valuation on a property being used as security, a copy of the title, a valuation on the equipment. It depends on what is being requested and the amount that is being requested. Okay, and again, security would include a certificate of title, a bill of sale on equipment or vehicle, a guarantor if that is necessary. A secured payment arrangement is very important. Sometimes persons receive contractual proceeds. Sometimes you may have a manufacturer and he sells, for example, to a supermarket. So the proceeds from that contractual arrangement can be made available to the bank. And again, the project is assessed, and another form or other forms of security may be required. So the items that are listed there would not be applicable to any one business. It depends on the business, it depends on the amount that is being required. And the security requirements would be made privy to the applicant. Next slide, please. Application process.
Okay, in terms of the application process, we try as much as possible to streamline the process to give quicker response to our customers. So we first thing is that we have to set an appointment. We try to keep all appointments now by telephone or any other medium. The clients can also come in, but generally we call clients or we have telephone interviews with our clients. And if a client requires an interview, the information is on the screen. And the numbers you could call 255-9400 or 255-9414 or email customerservice@8bank.com. For loan inquiries, this is telephone numbers again 255-9444 or 255-9467 and or an email loans@8bank.com. We try our best to get back to the customer within the day if an inquiry is made. So you should get back an email at the end of the day or during the day as to what it is that your inquiry is or whatever your question would be. As I say, after the appointment, the interview is held with the client, and as much as possible, we stress submission of completed documentation. So if whatever the information that we give in the checklist, try as much as possible to have the completed information because we are not able to process an incomplete application. So we can walk you through the process. We are there to guide you and to assist you if you have anything that you are not clear about. So after you have submitted all your information, then you go to the processing of the loan and a decision is given and thereafter disbursement of funds. So this is the process outlined from the appointment to disbursement.
Okay, great. So this is the application process, and for some, even based on the comments, it seemed quite a challenge for several businesses, even some who are self-employed. But it was noted that 8bank works with everyone based on their ability and their capabilities. So that seemed to be a kudos for the team. But we would want to find out how long is that application process, like on average? I know it varies based on customers and based on how you get the information, but how long would that process take on average?
In terms of the process, can you hear us? Yes.
Okay. Yes, we can.
So how long it takes depends on the number of factors, the loan amount, the type of business. For some businesses, a field visit is undertaken to determine to have a view as to what is going on the site. So it depends. So there's no set time. However, we would give the client an idea as to the length of the process at the time of application. It depends on what is involved in the whole application. So for a farmer, site visit would have to be done. For somebody doing construction, a site visit would also have to be done. So it depends on the application and on the size of the loan. So that would require some more assessment. So that information will be given to the client at the stage of during the interview process.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. We do have another question from Judy. She asked, how long does a business have to be registered in order to qualify?
In terms of the registration, it caters for both new and existing businesses. So it is a requirement that you are registered. There's no, as I said, no set time as to how long you have to be registered for. However, for new businesses, they would have to do some kind of projections in terms of what is financial, what sales or what revenue, what is the financial projection for the business. That will guide us, and we as the bank, we also do our research to guide ourselves. So there's no set time after the registration, because we cater for both new and existing businesses.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing.
So I think slide speaks to the advice that we would like to offer applicants or businesses.
Could you repeat that, sir?
The next slide, please.
Okay. Okay,
Speaks
sure.
to advice that we would have for businesses. And it is very important that businesses are registered, and locally they can do so with the registrar of companies and intellectual property office. The businesses have to be registered in the Dominican Social Security as well, and also inland revenue. And it is very important that the documentation that the bank asks for is submitted to us. When sometimes clients may feel that they have to go, or they complain that they have to go up and down a few times, but really we insist preferable for us and the client that all documents that are required for processing the loan are submitted to the bank at one time, in one go. So why build the back and forth? This is something that we are trying to do for best support. Okay? So when an interview is held, they are advised about the items they need to submit to the bank. And upon doing so, the application process can begin. Other than that, we are stuck, So we just want our clients to understand and to help us make things easier for them and for us.
And this as well would determine the length, the processing time. Because if documents are not presented or submitted to the bank on a timely basis, then it means that we are unable to actually process the loan. With completed applications, almost immediately the officer can get to work for you. But if there are documents outstanding, then yes, we would have a certain portion of the loan document, documents. But if we do not have everything, then it will be difficult to actually go ahead. So it's very important that the client presents all the required documents. So we want to emphasize that. We can't help but overemphasizing that point, that there is need for the submission of all of the documents.
Right. And a question was asked earlier about evidence of business operation. So that is where we would come in terms of any tax that a business would pay. For example, small businesses will pay small tax, the liquor license or the store parlor license. Any such evidence that you have been in operation, any information that, for example, as I say, any taxis, any for some bus drivers, you pay your license, your vehicle license, there's a range of items that could be submitted to give the evidence that you have been in operation.
Okay, next slide, please.
Okay, great. Just before we move on,
before we move on, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Another thing too, if in doubt, we ask that you seek clarification. But oftentimes persons are in doubt, they are not certain as to what should be done or should not be done. And sadly, instead of returning to the bank or calling the bank to find out exactly, well, you said this, what exactly you mean? You will find persons going out there and not knowing what to do. And sometimes you find the bank is given a bad name, and we really would like to reduce such incidences. So we are saying, if you are in doubt, you do not know, you are not clear about a certain thing, feel free to call us, so we can clarify exactly what it is that has to be done, how it can be done, and where you can seek help.
And most times it is a simple matter as to for example, I had a call today that the client wants to find out what letter should I get from Social Security. I just registered. What information do I need to bring from Social Security? And they said I couldn't get the certificate at this time. I said, no, you could just bring in a letter from them and that would suffice. So it's something simple or that might be not clear or maybe the understanding might be a little different. So it's just that we just clarify and then most times it's a simple matter.
Okay, great. We do have a question from Glenwolf. He just wanted to reiterate the minimum and maximum cost just before we move on. He wants to know what's the minimum and maximum amount that one could get and at what rate.
Okay, so yeah, so the
loan ranges from $8,100 to $675,000, $672,000. So it ranges from 8,100 EC dollars to 672 EC dollars. The interest rate is 3.5%, and this is on the reducing balance. Then you are given, an individual is given up to 10 years to repay that loan. And there is a grace period of 6 months on both interest and principal. So within that time, the 6 months, absolutely nothing is paid to the aid bank. That is sufficient time to get things going, to get the business going. That's what it is. So this, in essence, is the loan term under the MSME facility.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we now move to the next section, the support to MSMEs.
So in supporting the small business sector, we have worked with a number of agencies, locally and regionally. Some of them are listed here: CDB, EIB, CREED, so that our small business owners can be more informed about critical areas. For example, a simple thing like record keeping. Not many people keep records, but it's extremely important so that you can understand how your business is progressing, or in what areas are doing better than others, or what your expenses are like, and so on. So we support MSME by collaborating with local and regional institutions, as I said. We also provide financial counseling, and we do have in-house technical support, particularly with agriculture and the construction sector. So if somebody is building a house, for example, or building a small business from scratch, be it a hotel or guest house or something like that, then we provide support to these small business enterprises.
Great, thank you so much. And just before we move on to the next section, we'll just view this from our sponsor. Our sponsor is Finance Focus. And Finance Focus provides accounting services, business management services to our MSMEs. So we want to ensure that our MSMEs understand that Finance Focus is a financial literacy business that offers personal and business coaching, accounting services, and business management support to MSMEs. Also ensure to check the direct deposit newsletter from Finance Focus to be updated on all your financial literacy needs. We now head back to the Aid Bank team to continue to the next slide.
So earlier on, we spoke about other facilities that are available to small business enterprises, in addition to that new line of credit. We have the WE Fund, which is the Women Entrepreneurial Fund. It caters to women in business, women who are pursuing agricultural projects as well, women who are 18 years and older. In terms of the startup stars, we do have that loan product that caters to young people between 18 and 35 years, and both male and female. and they can also access capital to start up their small business projects. And from time to time, we have other facilities depending on the loan facilities that we have to offer business support, business assistance, financing to small business enterprises. Okay, so next slide, please. This is just.
I want to ask a question just before you move on, though. In terms of the loan products that you offer to MSMEs, I know there's something for tourism businesses, also for manufacturing businesses. Are these still available, and agriculture as well? Are these still available for like the general private sector?
Are we talking about the exist? We had a facility that started in 2015. Because this one is talking about in terms of the 2% facility, these funds have been exhausted, so it's no longer available.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, so this is just a reiteration of something we said earlier in terms of the contact information. Persons who desire to make appointments to access the loan facilities, they can call 255-9400 or 255-9414 or email customerservice@aidbank.com. Inquiries also, our clients, applicants can call 255-9444 and 255-9467, or they can email loans@aidbank.com. Okay, so this is in an effort to expedite our communication to our clients and customers or applicants. Okay, next slide, please. So I think we had two questions earlier. I hope it was answered in our communication effort, or if somebody wants anything clarified, you can still remind us of the question, and we will do our utmost to answer. We're not hearing you. You're muted.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay. And Brenton, you mentioned earlier on, well, you asked a question on what qualifies as evidence of operation of MSMEs. We want to confirm with you if you felt that your question was answered or if it was responded to sufficiently. If you have any follow-up question, please feel free to share it in the chat as we seek to engage our Aid Bank team in understanding how our businesses can really succeed in accessing this financing at the Aid Bank. Everyone who's joining us, we see those on Facebook and those on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in with us this evening. And we do have some more minutes before we close. We end at 8 o'clock, so we ask you to share your questions. This is a platform that you can learn more of how to succeed in accessing this finance. So please feel free to share your questions. Great. Maybe as we do wait for some more questions as well, we could reiterate some of the points that you mentioned previously. I will add it onto the screen for those who are just joining us. You could emphasize again the loan terms and the conditions for sub-borrowers, as well as what is required by MSMEs.
Okay, so the loan amount ranges from EC $8,100 to $672,000. The interest rate is 3.5%, and this is on the reducing balance. The repayment term is up to 120 months or 10 years, and there's a grace period of 6 months on both interest and principal. During that time, absolutely nothing is payable to the bank.
Okay, great. Thanks for emphasizing that. We do have a request to put up the requirements, the slide that shows the requirements. Okay, great. So that you'd be able to take a photo of what the requirements are. Someone asks if there's a deadline for accessing this financing. Is there a deadline? Is it just based on when the funds dry up? But any guidance you could provide as to a deadline would be useful.
The facility is available up to 2023, which is next year.
So basically, we have about 12 months to put this facility and to the chance for people to apply under this financing. So the next 12 months. But I really have to emphasize that we have a lot of interest in this facility. So I would urge clients that are interested to please try to submit your information as quickly as possible in order that you fit into that window. So we do have a lot of interest in this facility, and it would be very, very sad that somebody that qualify won't be able to because of the deadline. So we really want to emphasize that clients as much as possible to submit your information and to for the funding. That is at a very concessionary rate at 3.5%.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that information. We do have a very important question though. This one, Glenwolf asks, after disbursement, what's the follow-up plan from the bank? Is there a follow-up plan that 8 Bank follows?
As a matter of fact, during this disbursement period, the bank conducts supervised credit. So we do not only provide the funding for you, but we really check up on you periodically to see how you're doing and to ensure that you're using the money as outlined in your business plan. From time to time, as we hinted earlier, if there's a need for trading in a particular area, we also work with affiliates to conduct trading activities. What we want to emphasize too is that, as you know, some of your viewers and listeners have indicated, the 8 Bank never wants to put someone in a worse position than they were to begin with. So anytime you realize you have a problem or you have a challenge, we ask you to communicate with us, so that we can advise you on what to do. There are certain things that happen to us in life, in nature, that we have no control over. And so there are ways of dealing with that. But apart from natural disasters and things of that nature, do not feel ashamed, do not feel embarrassed, do not feel like you're bothering us. Anytime you are encountering a problem, please find your way to the bank or call us. Let us see how best we can help you resolve that problem before it escalates.
So as Mrs. Stitt said, that during the application process, sometimes it is limited, or after we assess your application, there can be recommendation made for training from time to time, as we spoke about earlier, that training opportunities do come up for financial management, marketing, how to market your product, and other such opportunities to improve your position. So this is also one of the 8 Bank is also there to improve your situation and your position. So we would recommend clients, and from time to time we do call clients to say that this is a training opportunity. Can we register you, or would you be interested? So we also give clients this support where necessary.
Okay, great. We do have another question. from the audience. This one is from Kivon Francis. So he's asking, is there some sort of checklist that applicants would have access to in terms of documentation required so that you know exactly which documents are required for your particular business? We know that you mentioned that you have a tailored plan for or customized plan for the businesses, but it would still be useful if there's some sort of checklist that the applicants could have. So if you could share more information on this with us, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, we do have checklists, and as we indicated earlier, it is actually tailored based on the person's request. So an individual applying for a fishing loan will have a different checklist from a person who is applying for a bus loan. But we do have checklists, and once the individual visits the bank, speaks to the officer, we would almost immediately within the, well, I should say first that interviews are done online. So we don't have face-to-face interviews. So assuming an individual sends, use the Loans at Aid Bank platform, sends us a request, almost immediately within the course of the day, an officer will respond to that person's email, and they would outline the items required based on their request. If the individual comes to the bank, the officer will tell them exactly what is required based on their request. So there are always, at all times, there is a checklist.
Great, thank you very much for sharing that. Great, want to encourage if there are any final questions from our audience. If not, we're almost towards the end, and we would have our Aid Bank team giving us their final word soon. We'll also be sharing with you some of the updates, some of the events that are coming up that you could look forward to as an MSME in Dominica. So we want to encourage, if there are any one or two more questions from our audience, please share on YouTube or on Facebook so that we'll be able to provide all the information you need in being successful to access this financing at Aid Bank. So before we ask our Aid Bank team to give their final words and their feedback to our MSMEs, we want to share with our participants that there are some events that are coming up very soon. So our next Taking Care of Business is on Tuesday, May 17th from 7 to 8, this same timing, this same hour. And we'll be looking at trends and opportunities and best practices for business growth beyond COVID. Many businesses, even in getting this financing, you may want to understand what are the trends and the opportunities and the best way to even direct this financing opportunity to be successful in your business. We have a very great team that looks forward to share that with you. So Brenton, Olive, and Jonathan, they will be there on the 17th of May. That's next week, Tuesday. We also share with you that tomorrow we'll be having this session on leveraging opportunities to trade and invest in Dominica. And this is done in partnership with the Miami-Dade Chamber and the Caribbean American Alliance. And we signed this MOU late last year, and we are taking action to help our businesses, both in the US and the territories that subscribe to Caribbean American Alliance, and in Dominica, to ensure that we could trade and invest between countries. So that's tomorrow at 10 to 11 via same Facebook, DAIC Facebook that you're tuning into, or if you prefer YouTube, you could link through the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. Tomorrow also, we're having an exciting event, and that's where our MSMEs and our businesses come together to network with DAIC and its members. So this member that we are focusing on this time is Jolly's Pharmacy, Jolly's National Clinic, and Jolly's.dm. We invite all MSMEs who are tuned in, those who want to network with DAIC members, those who want to build partnerships. If you want, you could look at the link, you could search for the link, which is on the screen right now, or you could check our Facebook page for events and you would be able to click on the link that's available for this. It's from 6 to 7:30 p.m. tomorrow evening at the Preview Cinema. Almost done, but DAIC continues to be on the move. We have our quarterly membership meeting, and this one is with the Minister for Trade, Commerce, entrepreneurship, innovation, business, and export development. It's with Honorable Ian Douglas on Wednesday from 2:30 to 4. So if you want to find out more information on, as members, on new developments that facilitate the ease of trade, understanding the policies and programs that enable and increasing local exports, as well as the ministry support to enhance entrepreneurship and innovation, then as a member, you need to turn out for this. We're almost done, but there is one other that we need you to focus on, and this is a virtual private sector tabletop. This is a virtual private sector tabletop exercise that we're collaborating with the Office of Disaster Management on. The hurricane season is coming, and we want our businesses to be able to be prepared. So understanding how to prepare, understanding how to respond and recover. This takes place next week, Tuesday morning from 10 to 12. And we are almost coming to the end, but we want to remind you that this program is brought to you by Finance Focus, and they focus on offering financial literacy and catering to businesses' need by providing business coaching, accounting services, and business management support to MSMEs. So we're coming to the end, and we now turn back to our Aid Bank team, who's going to share with us the final words that they have for MSMEs in being able to succeed in accessing this finance at the Aid Bank. Aid Bank team, we thank you, Mrs. Faustin, Mrs. Teet, and Mrs. Chambers, and we ask you to share with us your final words.
Okay, so in closing, I'd like to encourage general public to access these funds. 3.5, this is unmatched, it's unrivaled, and it's available for a very limited time. And we would encourage our customers, general public, small business owners to keep record, to ensure that they deposit their funds on, well, make use of their accounts at the bank, and the service, more than anything else, to service their loan on a timely basis. Because this is the only way that others can actually access those funds. If you are encountering difficulties, please come to the Aid Bank and let us know what's happening.
Okay, I would really like to extend appreciation to you for having us here to discuss this new facility. We also would like to be grateful to the government of Dominica for allowing us to manage this fund on their behalf. And as Mrs. Chambers said, it is at 3.5%, and it is accessible to all small, medium-sized, small, and micro businesses. And it is the opportunity to assist your businesses grow and to improve your position and to expand, to develop new products, to rebrand your business, to improve the whole face of your business, to improve your economic situation. So it is low-cost funding that's available to you. The requirements have been streamlined, and they are very flexible terms, security terms. And we are here at the Aid Bank to walk you through the process. And if at any point, as we said, we keep emphasizing that you have difficulty in understanding what it is that you need, we will walk you through the process. And our team, we have a dynamic team here at the Aid Bank that is willing and always available to assist you and to help you. And as we said, if we normally return your call or we return your email within the day. And if all else fails, you could always ask for any three of us that's here, and we will try our best to assist you through the process. And again, we want to thank you for having us, and we want to thank you for listening to the listening public for your attention.
Okay, once again, thank you, Ms. Fabien, for inviting us to this forum. And in a special way, we want to thank the many persons who tuned in through your YouTube channel and through your Facebook page to listen to the criteria and the important discourse on the micro, small, and medium enterprise facility at the Aid Bank. We all know that this sector plays a critical role in the Dominican economy in terms of employment generation, in terms of revenue generation, and foreign exchange earnings. And also very important is export substitution. The innovation in Dominica is something to be admired for the most part. And this facility presents an opportunity for the sector to be attuned to its business. And one of the things I like to say is that sometimes people tell you about their experience at the bank in a very limiting way. You know, I always say that one hand cannot clap. So anything you want to find out about your business, about that facility, as it relates to your business, you need to do so for yourself. Okay? Because people will benefit and they will not tell you, they will try to discourage you. But with a facility like this, at 3.5%, it's not going to last for a long time. You know? And you really want to see a business thrive while that facility is available to you. So don't sit back and think that you have time. Try to get your business going now so that you can see the benefits of your efforts and your hard work. Thank you very much to everybody.
Great. Thank you so much to the 8 Bank team, to Mrs. Faustin, Mrs. Teet, and Mrs. Chambers for speaking to us tonight, this evening, on how can our businesses in Dominica succeed in accessing this financing at the 8 Bank. We do hope that the information was timely and relevant to all our businesses. We see a comment from Rosanette Peltier that it was very timely, and thank you for the information shared. We hope that those who will be viewing this subsequently will see all the information, and again, we'll add to the screen so that you could see the contact information for applying. If you want to have an appointment or an inquiry, ensure that you reach out to the 8 Bank team who shared with us the process and shared with us how you can succeed in this process. So from DIC, we love bringing you relevant and timely information. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we wish everyone a pleasant evening. Take care all.
Thank you.
And good night.
Good night.